thank you so much for joining me today. The things that you do around professional skills development and business and organizational change and gamification are things that I don't necessarily do. They're not my swim lane. So tell us a little bit about you and what has brought you to this 7-session seminar that I want to share with everyone in my network.
Well, thank you for having me, Adrienne. So what I do basically came out of frustration for people not doing it in companies. So I started off in higher education, and from higher education worked in manufacturing. And the whole time I was there, I kept thinking there's got to be a way to make organizations healthy. And then I came across Patrick Lencioni, who talked about organizational health, and I said, yes, that's what I'm looking for. That's my wheelhouse. And then I began to do some studies on how we learn and realized, the way our brains are wired, and neuroscience tells us this, is that we started off learning through play. And then about at 6th grade, we stopped playing, and then we went into what we call rote learning. And that became so difficult for people to retain what they've learned. They learn to the test, and then once they're done, they kick out that information. But when you learn through play, your retention is 35% higher. And so that doesn't change as adults. So then that's when I decided I wanted to incorporate game-based learning into my business, because I realized that was the best way for people to retain what they learned, and incorporated coaching with that so that you have an opportunity to practice and reinforce what you're learning.
And you know what? That's the bottom line. That whole experiential learning activity and then the debrief is where the rubber meets the road. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
And so in the year of 2020, we are experiencing a great deal of change, and how we learn is changing as well. I personally have attended a bunch of webinars over the last several months, and some of the basic virtual facilitation 101 skills are being shared. But honestly, for many of us who are professionals, we've been using these platforms for a long time, but we haven't had to digitize and do so much with our existing materials that we've always used for the learning. What's changing now, and what can you offer folks to help them gain traction really, really quickly?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was finding too, as I was doing more virtual work because of the conditions we're in, and I was helping other people do virtual work. What I noticed is that learning the platforms doesn't take a lot of time. And like you said, a lot of us have used these platforms already. The problem is, how do we convert our existing workshops and program series into the virtual world? And where people are making a lot of mistakes is they think, oh, I will just present the way I would normally present the material if we were in person on a virtual platform. And it doesn't work. Some of the best presenters, people that I've seen live in person, have failed miserably on this platform because they don't understand how to convert the material. And
Yes.
so that's where I said, there's too much out there about this is how you use Zoom, or this is how you use GoToMeeting, or what, pick your platform, or this is how you monetize it. And no one was talking about, how do I actually take the content I have and convert it into this environment, and also create activities that reinforce the learning, that experiential learning piece. And so that's why I decided to do this 7-part series. It's really about focusing people on how to do that and not on how to sell.
So I got really excited yesterday when we talked, and I actually asked you to talk with me today so that I could share this opportunity with a lot of people who I know, and a lot of people who I know are actually struggling with this very thing. And you were able to just rattle things off yesterday about how this was going to work. So in a nutshell, what can people expect by going to this 7-session series.
You will expect to walk out with at least one of your programs converted into an experiential learning on a virtual space. And it will not be technology heavy, meaning we'll use the platforms to be able to do things like polling and breakout rooms and things like that. But you'll learn how to use everyday materials that people have, or being able to put together a packet that you can send to people. So the example that I gave you, which is one of the examples that we're going to actually use in the program, is taking a whiteboard and actually, you know, like a little personal whiteboard, and having people write their answers on the whiteboard and then actually putting it up on screen. And that really does help people who are uncomfortable with using the virtual whiteboard, but also it's a nice little trick to get people to get on camera. So we're going to talk about that and the importance of, as a presenter, a lot of us, we get our energy, we get the feedback of whether or not people are engaged or disengaged with what we're doing, and when we need to pivot by really looking at the audience. And now we've kind of handcuffed you because you're not in front of the audience, and then now people turning off their cameras is now blindfolding you.